Jen, okay?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome to E Double Talk on Truth by Media Network. I'm here today with Miss Lauren Mitchell,
Hello.
who is going to help us get the bag. See, in 2019, we have Cardi B and we have Offset showing off all their cars, and we're all sitting at home wondering why we can't have the luxurious things in life. And we certainly can, but it comes with us changing our mindset about finances. And we know, as a community, the excuse is that because we've never had anything, when we get something, we want to show what we have. We want to buy, all material things. And I think some of that is true. From the struggle, when we get it, we want to enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
When I was younger, I can say I thought designer bags and cars, we had the look of richness, but it was not wealth. And everybody knows that. Just because you drive a nice car, just because you have a nice bag on your arm, doesn't mean that you have money in the bank. So let's try to find out how to get some money in the bank.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So give me some background. I mean, I just met you and I found out that you
Yes.
are a financial consultant, right?
So for the past 13 years or so, I have been working as a tax preparer for H&R Block. I'm actually based in Hackensack, New Jersey, right on River Road. I do that as supplemental career. I do work full time, but I enjoy, helping people prepare their tax returns. But I take it a step further. I go a little bit beyond preparing your taxes. We'll sit and we'll talk about your finances, your planning, preparation for the next year, and how you can be in a better place the next time I see you.
Okay, so when people come to you, I know myself. I have another friend who helps you fix your credit, and I
Yes.
know that I need to fix my credit.
Yes.
But it's like I never went to her because it's embarrassing. You don't want to, you don't want to share your personal failures,
Right.
or challenges, I should say. I mean, we've all made mistakes and made bad purchases, and it followed us and it affected our credit. So, how do you begin when you're, trying to make someone feel comfortable?
So I'm a big believer. I'm a firm believer in the goal should be progress, not perfection. Find someone, talk to them, get a feel for their vibe, see if you feel comfortable with them. You want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the person if you're discussing your finances, because if you don't feel all the way comfortable, you're not going to be honest with them.
Right.
And that person is in a position to not judge you, but talk to you and help you reach your goals. So I definitely, I do have some really good resources. I have someone that we can talk about that a little bit further. I have someone that I can push you towards.
I mean, there's no better time than the present. So,
Okay.
I mean, at least now I'm being real with myself.
Okay.
It's not going to go away.
Right.
I don't open my mail. I'm
Oh,
like,
gosh.
I ain't got it. I ain't opening that mail today.
Okay.
So, this has been going on for a long time.
Okay.
So, you came to the rescue. I'm
Okay.
glad I met you.
So you
yeah.
got the thing is you want to start somewhere. So there's gonna be a point in time where you're gonna have to rip them all open,
Yeah, I
sit
know.
down, total them up, total them up. And the thing is, don't be embarrassed. We have all. I still fall short. I still waste money. I still blow money on stupid things. Sit down with somebody that you feel 100% comfortable with. The first thing I can say is don't be afraid to ask for help. Lean on your village. There are
Right.
people who care about you. There are people who care about your success. Sit down and talk with them and discuss your goals. The one thing that I can say is about 2 years ago, I had a credit consultation for $50. This person will sit down with you, go through your credit report, give you 45 minutes of personalized advice.
Right.
Having read through your credit report, seeing who you owe, and will give you guidance on what to do next.
Yeah.
Give you guidance on what you should pay, what you should not pay, what you should negotiate. That's the first step, because I feel like it'll help you get control over what the next step is.
Right. I can get my head from under the blanket and
Yes.
start somewhere.
Yes.
So, what are some tips that you can give people, if they feel like they're not ready to, reach out to anybody? What can we do on our own? Like,
Okay.
what are some things that we need to try to? Because a lot of it is, Of course, I know you're going to say budget, so I know
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
But you know, there are some steps that we should be taking on our own before we even go to see someone.
So there are some basic things that you can do if you are not ready to really pull the trigger on sitting down with a financial consultant and having an actual consultation. There are small baby steps that you can take on your own. First, sit down, create a budget, as you just said.
Yes.
Your budget does not have to be fancy. There are some people who like to use apps on the phones. You know, there's a lot of different ones that people use. Your budget can be pen and paper as long as you are writing down what you bring in on a monthly basis
Right.
and what you need to pay out on a monthly basis and see where the discrepancy is.
Right.
Do you have enough? Do you not have enough?
Didn't they say back in the day, robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Yes.
I mean.
Yes. So then if you don't have enough, then you got to figure out what the next steps are.
Right.
You know, do we take on a second job? You know, do we supplement our income? What do we do from there?
Right.
Do we call? Do we negotiate with creditors?
Mm-hmm.
Do we get on a payment plan just to catch up so that you're considered current? Couple things we can do.
Okay.
Because that's the one thing I say too. I myself, I mean, I pay student loans.
Mm-hmm.
I tell a lot of my clients, the one thing you never want to do is don't default on your student
Right,
loans.
right,
If you
know.
need to call them and say, listen, this is what I can
And
pay
they work
this
with you.
month.
I do know
Absolutely.
that. I did work with my student loans.
Absolutely.
And even the utility companies really will work with you.
Absolutely.
Cable, your phone bill, because they know you need them
Mhm.
and they need you. So
Right.
they'll pretty much work with you. But I think another problem is sometimes we don't trust the people that, because you get phone calls all the time from credit counselors
Right.
who tell you they're going to help you and they merge everything and then you're paying them. So how do we know if the place is legit?
That's a good question because companies are getting bought out left and right. I think that's why one thing you can do is kind of take the control yourself and negotiate
Call on
with
your
your
own.
yes, I think if you negotiate with your lenders and say, hey, this is what I can afford to pay for the next 6 months if it'll bring me out of default and make me current. Now you're keeping a third party out of the mix. You don't have to
Right.
worry about another company getting bought out or getting a hold of your personal information too.
Right.
In this day and age with the scammers and people having access to your social security number, it's very scary. So another thing too, if you're struggling, I'm a firm believer in cash.
Me too.
Cash envelopes. My friends laugh at me because I post this on like my Instagram and my Facebook all the time. Cash envelopes. After a while, you start to know how much you spend when you go grocery shopping. You start to know how much you spend on gas every week. Go to the
Right.
bank once a week. Take out the cash you know you need.
Right.
Separate it out into envelopes.
That's
You're going to
exactly
minimize how much you swipe.
Yeah, I do. I like that because after it's done, I won't go unless I really need to
Mhm.
go and get more.
Absolutely.
More cash. But swiping is a problem.
Swiping is a big
because
problem.
you can swipe $1 at 7-Eleven and you're like, oh, it's only $1, and then I'm getting a naked drink and it's $2.99. I'm like, it's not even $3. But you have to factor all of that in because it's still money that you're spending.
Swiping is a big problem. I mean, I work hard, I play hard, I like to go out, I like to have fun. I just went to Essence Festival in New Orleans. I took cash with me. I went down there for 3 days. I had cash in an envelope. I knew what I could spend.
Right.
And once that was gone, okay, that's it.
Okay, so what about me and my friend had a funny joke on Facebook one time where there was a meme that put when you have $10, you're gonna put $5 worth of gas in your car because you might need the other five.
Right.
I think a lot of women do this more. Like we can have $20, and instead of us putting the whole 20 in, because the more money you spend, the more gas. I mean, you know what I mean, right? So, is that practical? Because we feel like it's practical, especially with children. As long as I know I'm making it home, I might
Right.
have somebody might come by and just jump up to
Right.
my yard,
But-
pick me up.
right.
So I don't want to put all that I have in the tank when I don't need it.
But you know what I think is very important too? It makes me think of, my next point. We have to be better about emergency funds. You have to have some emergency
Right.
cash somewhere stashed in your house that your kids don't know about, your man don't know about.
We're gonna get to the man. Y'all know me. There's a man story in here somewhere. We're getting to relationships in a little while because no romance.
But I think it's very important. We need to have emergency funds. So that's another thing that I tell my clients too. I have clients that sit down at my desk every single year and they get $5,000 and $6,000 tax returns. Take 1,000 of that and make an emergency fund. And then every time you get paid, put something in that emergency fund. Then I also have some clients who don't get back, huge refunds. Maybe you get 1,000 or two. So you know what? Put $500 into an emergency fund, and then every time you get paid, make sure you put something in that savings account. I don't care if it's $20, $30.
That's what
do
I was
it.
going to ask you. I was going to say, what's the difference between that and a savings account? And an emergency fund. There's always emergencies that happen.
True.
Especially with a car. If you don't have a brand new car.
True.
But so now we have to put money in the savings account to save. We have to put money in an emergency account. We have to have money for the bills. So realistically, even with paying rent, they say you're supposed to make a certain amount of a percentage
right.
of your rent.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So is there a way to break down the pie somewhat?
There is. I actually read an article that breaks it down. I can't recall off the top of my head, but there is a formula. There's a formula that some landlords and lenders calculate to make sure that you can actually afford that apartment. Right. They look at everything and they're like, nope, if you don't make X amount, you can't afford this place. Right. Listen, you don't have to have seven different bank accounts. If you're disciplined, your savings account can be your emergency fund as long as you know you're going to keep. If you have to take $400 out of that because something happens with your car, are you disciplined enough to put that back? Is the question. Can you treat it like I'm borrowing money from myself, but I have to put this back because this is an emergency fund? There's always something.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is discipline because once you put that money away and you keep your word with yourself not to touch it, you don't even think about it.
Right, exactly.
I've been disciplined at times. I haven't totally always been horrible.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you fall into hard times and
right.
It just takes everything. But if you can get back on the discipline, that's a big part of it.
So let me ask you a question. You have kids. How do you prepare every year? How do you prepare for Christmas time? The season if you celebrate Christmas.
You really want to know?
Yes, I really want to know. How do you prepare for Christmas?
Well, I like to pride myself on the fact that I don't go out for Black Friday.
Okay.
That's one thing. I refuse to go shopping, get trampled on, and die trying to get a television set. But I've always done my shopping Christmas Eve and the day before.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I know they have, and I'm sure the banks still have the Christmas.
Yes,
thing,
the holiday clubs.
Holiday club, but I just don't feel like that's something that I really want to prepare for that much because I don't put that much focus on what they receive. Like that,
okay.
Put it this way,
that's
they
fair.
always have a good Christmas, but I try to teach them that that's not what it's all about.
That's
so
fair.
I take that check that comes right before Christmas, and I go and I do all my shopping in one day.
Okay. Well, I want to tell people, don't feel no way. October,
right.
That's when these stores like Walmart, October, we don't have Toys R Us right now, but in October, that's when Walmart's layaway is going to start.
Okay.
I ask your kids early. A lot of times they don't tell you until December what they want, but certain things that they've been asking for, go put it on layaway.
Yeah, that's a good idea. No, that makes sense.
Don't go into debt for one day.
Right.
Don't swipe that credit card for one day, knowing you got to pay those bills back in January.
It's really, then it's like you're setting yourself up the next year. You're already going into the year like behind. So that's one thing I can charge.
January is a tough month after you overspend in December.
Well, that's why they set up tax season right there. They know what they were doing.
Yes, people start texting me the second week in January.
Right.
As soon as I get my W-2, I'm coming to see you. I'm like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So what are some notes that you put down that I may not have asked you that you want to cover?
Okay, so I think we touched on a lot of things. I'm going to summarize. We definitely talked about, budgeting is key. If you
Right.
feel like you struggle with your budget, there's resources, there are free resources, there are books, there are websites that have free templates. Figure out what works for you. What may work for me might not be best for you. But definitely, if you're the type of person that would prefer to, go sit in Barnes and Noble and pick up a book, do it. If you're the type that you want to go online and Google a template, just do something. Pay yourself first. Again, if you get paid bi-weekly, whatever you can afford to put into a savings account, an emergency fund, I think is really important. You'll be surprised how fast $20, $30 a paycheck will start to add up. And then you save yourself some embarrassment too. We've all had to, at times ask someone for money, or, you don't want to damage, relationships and friendships. So, put yourself in a position where you have a couple of dollars if something unexpected comes up. Um, Cash envelopes, that's your friend. And I mean, train yourself.
Right.
When I first started using cash envelopes, I still had my debit card in my bag. If I go a little bit over, I'm just trying to see, can I get into a groove where I know how much I'm going to spend?
Right.
Life insurance, that's something we all got to think about. It's morbid. We don't want to think about it, but life insurance. We have to think about, our families, our kids, what we might be leaving behind if something unfortunate were to happen.
Yeah, because GoFundMe is kind of like,
Oh,
to
man.
me, that's disrespectful.
Yeah,
Like,
we've all seen
we
it.
just expect people to just, even Facebook now with these birthdays, I'm not even buying you a birthday gift,
Right.
especially if you're not having a birthday party.
Right.
And now you want me to donate to, and I mean, listen, I'm a philanthropist.
Yes.
I like to donate. I give to,
If I have it.
Yes, when and if I have it. But don't put the pressure on me.
It's
I'm trying
difficult.
to get it together over
Right.
here.
When you see a death, deaths are almost always unexpected.
Right.
So, when you have a death and then you're getting a GoFundMe, you're like, well, this wasn't a good time.
Right.
Just, we have to start thinking ahead. We don't want to think about it, but we have to think about it. I touched on layaway. Don't be ashamed to go into a store and put things on layaway. You are not creating credit card debt.
Right.
That's what you could keep reminding yourself.
Okay, so now that you said that,
Mhm.
well, do you have a lot more?
I just wanted to touch on,
Okay, go ahead.
some free resources. I actually purchased a book, if anybody's interested. This is a person that I came into contact with, Linda Marks. I came into contact with her, and she has a book. If you can't afford to, pay for her services, she has a book where you can, she calls it, do it your damn self.
Okay.
Where you can,
Better than that.
there's templates in here. She shows you how to create a budget, how to contact creditors, all of that. There's another woman, a sister that I actually met on the plane going to New Orleans, Tiffany, and her last name is Aliche. I might be mispronouncing it, but her last name is spelled Aliche. Her first name is Tiffany, and she calls herself the Budgetnista. If you are not following her on Instagram and Facebook, you need to be following her because she shares her story. She was a teacher. She shares her story about how she had excellent credit, lost her job, hit rock bottom, and then built her credit and her savings back up. It's a wonderful story, and it's like, it just reminds you we all fall short.
Right.
But, there's resources out there to help you.
Okay, so what I was going to ask you about, when you say credit and you say cash is good, but having good credit is good as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But what are some things that you think are better to buy with credit than with cash?
So,
We have to buy, we not to walk into a car dealership and just buy a car with
absolutely.
cash.
I think credit is very important. I think if you're in a situation where you're trying to rebuild your credit, one tip I learned through Tiffany, the Budgetnista, is take one of your credit cards, whether or not it's a secured card. If you don't have great credit, 9 times out of 10, you have to start with a secure card to rebuild your credit.
Right.
Okay? You take the credit card that you have, charge one thing on it a month. And pay it off. Something that you know you have to pay, whether or not it's your cell phone bill. You're not going to go without your cell phone.
Right.
That's one bill you're going to pay. Okay?
True.
So set up your cell phone on auto pay on your credit card.
Okay.
And then as soon as that charge hits your credit card, now take your cash and pay it. And then every month you pay that bill in full. But don't use that credit card for nothing else.
Right.
Don't go buy Chanel bags. Don't go buy nothing else. Just
Yes.
pay your cell phone bill. So now, let's say your cell phone bill is $50. That hits your Visa every month, that $50 charge. And then as soon as you get paid, you pay that $50 off in full. Now your creditor is like, oh, she's using her credit card responsibly.
Right.
She's not shopping. She's paying off everything that she charges. And then build it up. So you start with one. Then you're going to start. When you start establishing your credit, then that's when they start harassing you. They're going to be sending you offers left and right.
Okay. I mean, I think, like I said, we have to understand that wealth is more important right now than, showing off in front of everybody. And it's not that we work hard.
Yes.
So we should be able to have nice things.
Yes.
But we're making a lot of other people rich off our blood, sweat, and tears and our
Right.
hard work.
Right.
And that's why I like supporting entrepreneurs and
Yes.
independents. Because, we're giving back to our own community and helping build our community. There are other communities that only buy within their community.
Yes, yes.
And that's important, because our money goes out much more than other
Absolutely.
communities. So
Absolutely.
I think we need to remember that. We need to, try to, there's always the argument that black stores or black businesses charge more money, but people need to understand that it's because we have less clientele and less
Right.
business, so we have to
Mhm.
balance it out for us to keep our businesses open. So if we know that we're helping support our own, putting another child through college based on supporting an entrepreneur, I think that we should be okay with spending
Absolutely.
a little extra in our community.
Absolutely.
Because that's what's really the disparity between us and where we are in the world.
Absolutely.
Is our economic status. Some of us have a lot, some are giving back, but we all need to try to be more responsible. I think that's what it
Support black business and don't put them on blast. If you don't have a good
Right.
experience, just talk to them.
personally.
Talk to them.
Personally, yes, talk to them. And I do that. I'll explain. I'll say, listen, I tried to support. I came here and this isn't what
Yes.
how it was supposed to taste or whatever the case is.
Yes.
You have to do that. But as two single black females sitting up here,
Yes.
we do think ahead and think towards our future. And I know one day I want to get married. So how important is finance if you're in a relationship? I feel like if you're in a relationship, your man or your girl, your woman, your lady should be able to ask you if she needs something. Not if she's just in your pockets, but if she comes upon a bump
Right.
in the road, she needs something. And I think it should work both ways.
Absolutely.
But the problem is sometimes is that we think we're in a relationship and we're in a situationship. So we're taking a little break
Oh,
off
yeah.
the finance.
Okay.
And we're going to go through this little checklist for you ladies who aren't sure
Okay.
if you're in a situationship or a relationship. Because I came across this article and it was dead on point.
Yeah.
Okay. So I lost it. You have yours?
I do have
You
it.
do the first one while I find mine.
Okay.
So, ladies, if you are thinking future and you're thinking, you're in this you think you're in a relationship actually with someone and you want to start building with them. See, I think, me personally, as a woman who wants to build with someone, it's very frustrating when you meet guys that say, I'm not looking for a relationship. And I know why. A lot of times relationships are stressful.
Right.
And women wear a lot to handle. But I don't understand. If you can't handle one woman, how can you juggle a bunch of women? And the answer is situationships. They make it very easy.
Right.
So now, we're just gonna give you some pointers on if you're even able to set up and build with somebody. If you're in a situationship, it's gonna be hard. So what was the first sign of being in a situationship?
Okay. So the first sign. So do we want to talk about where this?
Yeah, we
Okay.
Yes.
So this is an article out of Women's Health magazine,
Yes.
and the first sign that you are in a situationship is you only make short-term or last-minute plans.
Yes.
He's not talking future with you.
You cannot tell him next month I have a wedding, and
Yes.
invite somebody to a wedding. If you want to know if you're in a situationship, invite them to a wedding.
Exactly.
Oh, I have something to do that day.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
That's the first one.
yes. The first one is that they don't make long term.
And he's not discussing future.
Right.
If somebody is into you, I'm thinking he's going to say, "Hey, you off the week of Christmas at your job? Are we going away or what vacation are you taking this summer?" That to me signals that he's really taking me seriously.
Yes. Number two, there's no consistency, which is similar. It's the same thing. You might see them twice a week this week, once the next week, not at all the third week. And you're confused. And now you're like, what's going on here? Is this something that I need to know?
Mhm.
And unfortunately, we need to pay more attention to the actions than what someone may be telling us to make us to tell us what we want to hear and not necessarily what it really is. So
Number 3 is they always have the same vague excuse. Oh, work has been really busy, my kids. Right. Listen, I'm sure every man has heard this before. You make time for what you want to make time for.
Exactly.
I don't care if I work 80 hours. If I'm taking you seriously, I'm going to find some time out of my week for you.
Definitely. You are in the schedule. This one, you mostly small and dirty talk. It's never anything serious. If you say you went somewhere and they don't even ask you where you went, or you say that something happened and they don't even want to know what happened, that's kind of a red flag right there.
Right.
Yes, they're not interested. They don't want to know.
Absolutely.
Oh, I had to go to my school because something happened with my son. Oh, well, I hope everything's all right.
Number 5 is you don't talk about the future. So we kind of touched on this, but the conversation is always like, all right, we're going to Netflix and chill. What you want to watch?
Right.
What movie you want me to put on?
Now, number 6 is the best answer when you do ask someone, what are we doing here? They'll tell you, well, I told you in the beginning that I didn't want to get serious. So a lot of times you meet someone and they tell you up front, I'm not looking for a relationship.
Right.
I'm not looking for anything serious. But it's kind of like they may expect you to act like you're their girl. And can only speak, I'm always accused of male bashing, but I can only speak from a female's point of view.
Yes, absolutely.
But guys seem really comfortable when you cook for them.
Absolutely.
You may wash their clothes or do something for them that is what a relationship would require, but they're not in a relationship.
Absolutely.
So you gotta watch that.
Absolutely.
It's like we're stuck trying to show a man the type of woman that we will be because we want him to know, like, I'm gonna be the best woman.
It's like we're auditioning.
Yes, but they're not auditioning because I told you in the beginning.
Right.
I wasn't looking for a relationship.
We all learned that lesson the hard way. Believe them. When they tell you, you have to believe them.
Yes. And listen, in the beginning, we might go with it because we don't know if we really want you for a relationship. Guys assume we automatically want to be in a relationship with them or we want them, in a serious situation. We're getting to know you too. So
Right.
At first when you say that, it's like, okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. When it starts to become a problem, we are the ones that have to make the move because they told us in the beginning.
Right.
And this is what happens. You get anxious. And I just want to read this part. Just because situationships are expectation free, it doesn't mean that they're stress free. Because you're so busy wondering what's going on because there's nothing consistent. And then, when you feel like, oh, I'm just going to leave this alone, here they come. Good morning, beautiful. And you're like, oh, it's okay.
Or Or if I don't know what we're doing and like your birthday comes up, then I don't know. Should I buy you a gift? Should I
Right.
take you out? Do I invite you to Thanksgiving? But I don't know what we're doing.
So, we're almost to the last one. But one thing I think we should also pay attention to is if we're not meeting anybody in the family. If we're not meeting
Yes,
anybody.
absolutely.
They're not taking us around their friends. It's like, oh, no, now you're not showing me off. What's the problem?
Men love to show off. So if he is not bringing you to the cookout, sis, just keep dating. And there's nothing wrong. I think we've all made this mistake before. I know I've been guilty of this, paying attention to one person at a time. That is failure. Date.
Yes.
Dating does not mean sex, but date.
I'm very new at dating because I've always been in long relationships. And it's so weird because I just act like I'm in a relationship because I'm used to it. But it's really true. If this person has not sat down and told you that this is what they want, you're free to date. But I think with women, it's hard because guys a lot of times want it to be sexual. And you can't be sexual with every guy that you're dating.
I think the key, you have to learn, I've learned this the hard way, to not assume. If you have not had a conversation about you and I are exclusive, we are not dating other people, there is nobody else in the picture, I'm going to act accordingly.
Right. Come on, ladies, we dream a lot. But come on, these dreams turn into nightmares because we're lying to ourselves, we're fantasizing. And we really can't hold them accountable. I mean, they're not being disrespectful to you, they're treating you properly, they just don't want a relationship. You have to be the one to ask yourself, can I deal with this or is this driving me crazy? And if it's good with you, fine, but it's not worth the headache. And the last one is it gets boring. And that's because you still are supposed to date in your relationship. So if you're dealing with somebody that's not looking for much, it's gonna become like, which is the best part of it because then it's easier to walk away. So now, if we are in a relationship, what do you advise in terms of bank accounts, joint bank accounts, normally you're not going to do that until you're married.
Right.
But,
I was going to say no joint bank accounts until you're married. Okay. But I do think it's important, if you are in a serious relationship, sit down. If you guys decide to cohabitate, you have to talk. You have to communicate. Finances will break up relationships and it will have married couples getting divorced. Most relationships fail. Finances is a big reason why relationships don't work out. So sit down and talk about it. You don't have to make the exact same, somebody's always going to make more. But how are we going to divvy up these bills? We got to sit and total these household bills. Can we both put X amount into this account that's going to go just for this rent and these bills? And then maybe you have your separate money for other things that you want to do. But I think it's important. You cannot make assumptions. Never assume, that a man is going to pay the rent just because y'all in a relationship. Let's sit down and talk about, how we're going to divvy this up. And most women don't have an issue, contributing, but have the conversation. Because I think when you don't have the conversation and you expect, I've been guilty of this myself too. You expect a man to do certain things, and then when he doesn't, you get angry and you resent him, and you're just like, let's just talk about how we're gonna deal with this. I'm learning.
Yes, I'm learning too. So thank you for sharing with us. Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Okay. So, I am available year round. If you need my help, I'm able to answer emails. I'm going to give you my email address. It's very long. I'll spell it out. But it's lauren.mitchell@tax.hrblock.com. So it's just my name, LAUREN.Mitchell, MITCHELL at tax.hrblock.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Facebook Lauren Mitchell, Instagram. I don't have a professional Instagram because I do this, it's supplemental, but I'll make one if need be.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Listen, everybody, we got to get the bag the right way so we can keep the bag. Thank you for joining us tonight on E Double Talk, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Come back.
Oh.